Today's In My Opinion is all about school meals and whether our kids should be eating vegan meals there. It's after Haywards Heath became the first town in Europe to sign up to the Plant-Based Treaty, which is an initiative aimed at encouraging people to stop eating meat to help save the planet. Nicola Harris is from the Plant-Based Treaty. Morning, Nicola.
Morning.
So tell us about the treaty.
Yeah, so campaigners are asking national governments to negotiate a global plant-based treaty in response to the climate emergency. We want to see a freeze on expansion of animal agriculture, a shift to healthy plant-based diets, and then to rewild ecosystems that we freed up from all the land we're no longer using for farming, and draw carbon from the atmosphere and try and prevent temperatures rising above 1.5 degrees.
And so part of this is introducing vegan meals at schools. Is the idea ultimately to phase out meat and dairy completely from school food?
Well, we want everyone, including children, in schools, businesses, government. We want to see everyone start to transition towards a plant-based diet this decade. We know that methane in particular is a really big opportunity where we can freeze temperature rises. Animal farming is responsible for a third of methane. And so we want to see, schools, businesses all shift towards that. It will be, I'm not expecting it overnight. It would be a gradual change. And I think, if we can start in schools, it helps children, embrace healthy living from an early age, and it will stick with them throughout life.
Surely the emphasis on school meals should be about nutrition, not sort of environmental impact.
Yeah. Nutrition is very important, but all major medical and dietetic associations, including the NHS, agree that a well-planned out vegan diet is adequate for all stages of life. And we know that plant-based diets bring lower risks of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and some cancers. So it's a win-win. It's good for our health. It's good for our planet. There's no reason not to do this.
Do you think this will work for fussy eaters?
I was actually a fussy eater before I became vegan. When I was a kid, I sort of grew up on chicken nuggets. And then when I became vegan, I started exploring food and trying more foods. And now I'm not fussy at all. So I think, it's something that we can embrace and, try new experiences.
What's one really easy vegan recipe for parents and carers to try with their kids at home that you guarantee that they'll lap up?
I think if you want to try out a vegan meal, think about maybe what meals you like already, whether that's spaghetti bolognese or a shepherd's pie, and you can make really simple swaps. So you could swap lamb for lentils, or add some tofu into your dishes. It doesn't have to be a really radical change. You might already be eating many foods that are vegan.
And so do you think that this is right, though, that schools are kind of making the choice rather than the children and the parents together about their meals and their diet?
I mean, I think that everyone should have a choice, and, schools are not going to be forcing anything on children. But what we do know is that from a BBC poll last year, that 1 in 5 children are either already vegan or they would like to be. So I think this is actually about expanding choice. We know that children are experiencing extreme climate anxiety. They're frightened and they want to see solutions. And so part of that is educating children about the impact of meat, dairy and eggs on the climate crisis, and allowing them to make informed choices. They're not really aware at the moment. I think, children would look back on this time and be quite angry if they were withheld this important information.
Read out a couple of texts to you. This one, where are the children going to get their protein from? And I guess similarly, sort of calcium and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. You can obtain all those nutrients on a plant-based diet. There's plenty of really good plant-based proteins. You could visit the NHS website where they list all the foods in the different categories. There are lots of guides online. Plant-Based Treaty has a nutritional guide for children. So, you don't have to worry. You just need to do a little bit of research and then, off you go.
I'm going to read out this one from Ian in Devon. I've got to say he's not a fan. Plant-based mince tastes like gravel. Vegan cheese looks like plastic. Tofu has no flavour and looks like rubber. Soya milk curdles when added to hot water and not local like cow's milk. Vegan bacon looks like shoe leather. So all your plant-based bias sucks. I shall continue to eat my meat and drink my milk. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad that he's at least been trying out these vegan foods. And,
True,
and again,
yeah.
You know, so that's actually really promising, and I, encourage everyone to try it. I know when I first went vegan, I wasn't keen on soya milk, but then I just tried other ones, and so now my favourite's oat milk. You know, there is actually a lot of choice out there. If you're not keen on the mince and the vegan bacon, you switch to healthy whole grain foods because they are ultimately more healthy for you anyway.
Bit of balance here. Mike in Fareham says, 8 years into a plant-based diet, and at 66, I'm enjoying food more than ever. Plates full of colour and interesting ingredients have made eating fun again. So much choice out there now, make the switch so much easier. No going back for me. So that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, that's wonderful. And that's the same for me. Is once I did become vegan, I just felt like my options expanded, and I tried so many new cuisines.
What are the cost implications for schools? Obviously, schools are going to be like every other organisation struggling with rising costs. Will an entirely vegan menu be more or less costly than what they have now?
Yeah, if you are going more down the route of like healthy whole foods diet, you will find that will actually bring savings for schools, especially with the inflation the way it is at the moment. And, the cost of meat and dairy is rising rapidly compared to like cheaper plant-based alternatives. And, many of these foods as well, like lentils and beans and pulses, they can actually be purchased in bulk, which would, bring even more savings.
Finally, the treaty, getting people to sign up to the treaty sort of sounds good, but I guess doesn't necessarily mean anything, does it? It's not sort of binding in any way.
So the campaign is basically following a bottom-up pressure model. So we're collecting endorsements from individuals, groups, businesses and cities who can sign on to the treaty. And we're trying to build pressure for the national government to take action. So, 18 cities have signed the treaty. Haywards Heath were the first in Europe. And this is all about building momentum. It's about getting schools on board, businesses on board, and, climate scientists, politicians. We're trying to get everyone involved to create this movement and pressure.
Thanks very much, Nicola. That's Nicola Harris from the Plant-Based Treaty.